What's going on? It's King Syze, Army of the Pharaoh representative, QD representative, Outer Space representative, Philadelphia representative, I used to live in East Oak Lane, and, that's where I met Planet. That's where we all met Planet, and he was the one that was always into music. So he was always, he always had the tapes, and he always had everything going on, and he was the one that was always rapping all the time, too, so, you know what I mean? And I was a lot younger than everybody else, so him and Crip started rapping together, you know what I mean? And, my homie Locks and my man Jedi, from the original Outer Space, they used to be doing it all the time. So, and I used to, be a tag along all the time, you know what I mean? Like just the kid that was always a little bit younger. But Planet wrote my first rhyme, you know what I mean? When I had to be like 12 years old, and I'm not ashamed to say that either. He wrote my first rhyme for me, and I started writing everything else after that. But Planet is the one that had everything, had hip-hop in all our lives, basically, to be honest. But now we met up with Paz in probably like, 96, 97, and he was always very influential to all of us because he was always a step ahead, you know what I mean? So it's like, and we all grew up as family. Eventually, that's when he's the one who started putting the records out, and that's how we all got known. Just like my first MC thing on the mic, and we were at University of Penn, and we had waited there. It was me, it was Planet, my homie Locks, Adam 12, all those kind of guys from back in the day. We were there we had to be waiting 3 or 4 hours to rock a mic for, I'm gonna say 5 minutes at the most. You know what I mean? And it was like, that was the first time I was ever really away from my, neighborhood. And dealing with some rap music it was fun, man. That's a good memory because just the wait. It was like you waited 5 hours to rap for 5 minutes, and that's what it was about back then. We used to go down to the open mics at Stretch and Bobito's on 2nd and Market. That's kind of how we originally met Paz because we used to go down there and do the open mic and. A lot of MCs used to be up there, you know what I mean? Pumpkinhead used to be there, Paz was there. I used to do tapes in high school, you know what I mean? Just record tapes and hand them out in high school. And eventually, Paz put out Street Poetry in 2000. So, tapes and that record, the Street Poetry record, and just, rhyming on the corners, you know what I mean? Just things like that, you know what I mean? That we had to do to try to get your name out there and just being out. At the time, we didn't take it serious, but when things got a little bit more, there was no, my parents were, my mom was working all the time and, my pop was gone for a long time, so there was anybody around us that wanted to, to had an opinion was always great, you know what I mean? Always wanted us to do what we wanted to do. They tried to preach that to us, but like, overall, parental influence and all that, there was really none. There was no opinion, but there was no, there was no disheartening in it either. Years ago, I had a real bad problem with my voice, and where I couldn't project, I couldn't even record basically, and this was when the height of the torture papers was being recorded, and I was having real problems, and if you listen to my verse on Now Grave and Battle Cry, you can see I sound a little different than I do because that's when I was going through all those real problems, and there was weeks where I couldn't even speak. You know what I mean? And I had a whole bunch of things done. You know what I mean? Like medical things done to get everything all cleared up. And for a long time, that was a real put down, man. It was a real challenge to, get motivated to even write when you can't record, you know what I mean? So eventually we had, I got everything all fixed up, and after, I was recording the torture papers, and I got through my verses, and then after that is when I got better. Yeah, I'm proud of, I'm really proud of the fans that I do have, you know what I mean? Because like, a lot of the guys in our group, in our squad or whatever, are a lot bigger than I am. But I do have a fan base, and a lot of times, when we, I'll be out on a humble just by myself. You know what I mean? And somebody will come up, or I'll be working and somebody will come up, and I just know, without music, whatever, there would be none of that. You know what I mean? And when you actually do something, put something out, and people will actually support it, or whatever, that's something to be proud of, man. Because not a lot of people have had the opportunity to do that. You know what I mean? I was proud of being able to go overseas a couple times, doing the East Coast run with Paz and all those. You know, they're real proud moments, because like a lot of times you got people that they got a lot of opinions about who you are, or what you're doing, or whatever, but they haven't seen none of the stuff that we've seen. And I'm even on a lower scale, whatever, but they still ain't even come close to seeing what I've seen. When I went on the Heavy Metal Kings tour, you know what I mean? It was definitely one of the best times of my life, whatever, touring with somebody like Ill Bill, who was, I was buying his CDs or whatever before I even knew who he was, buying his CDs, and to being able to go on tour with him and Paz, I was, all the shows were really, really great. Boston's always really good to me, you know what I mean? But when I went into, when we went to Toronto was just the height of everything. It was just, a lot of things had a lot of, the night, the fans, that was the first time I ever had, all my merch sold out in 10 minutes from doors opening, or people rushing who I am, or anything like that. I've had, instances like that, but Toronto was the height of, it's the best, show I've ever done. I did it with no hype man. When I went on stage at the Opera House, it was just like, I'm on stage where, a lot of people have rocked, and a lot of people been, and I was just on that stage. DJ Clips was he was DJing for me, because at the time I didn't have a DJ with me. You know what I mean? So, Clips was like, "What's going on? What you gonna do?" And I just told, I told Clips, I said, there's not really much I can do. There's no DJ here for me. So he was like, I got you. You know what I mean? Don't worry about that. So I get up on the, it's funny, because I get on the stage. I mean, he gets on the stage, and I get on the stage, and we don't have the beat CD. So, I run back downstairs. Everybody's chanting my name already, and I don't have no beat CD. So, you know what I mean? But it was only a couple minutes. I went down, I got the beat CD, and, me and Clips rocked it, man. It was just, it was probably the proudest moment of my music career. My own personal legacy is to be, to be mentioned up there with Outer Space and Vinnie Paz, and be like, Syze always held it down, when it comes to rocking the mic, you know what I mean? And so legacy-wise, whatever, I just want to have a legacy with my own people, man, because, the fans, they support me or whatever, but at the end of the day, whatever, the sales don't lie, you know what I mean? Everybody lies, but numbers don't. They never do. So it's like, there is no legacy to be left anymore, because people are asking you to put out another record, a month after you put one out, because it's just like nobody appreciates it. I remember back in the day when you had an album, you saved up, and you bought an album. You didn't buy lunch. You didn't buy lunch from what your mom gave you. You bought an album, and you knew every song from that album, even the songs you didn't like. The only legacy to be left is, to be respected by the best MCs that you've been around, and they're MCs that I've been around forever. So my family are the best MCs in the game, and that's just, to be there with them is always a great thing, and it continues to this day. I'll be 60 years old, it don't matter. You know what I mean? I'll still be, around those guys, and that are really respected.